some questions I'd like to answer before my time starts. Would that be possible?
We would like you to do your presentation after we finish. Go ahead.
All right, I don't want my time to start, because what I want to ask you is,
Bob.
you did,
Your time has already
all right,
started.
that's not fair. I want answers on, I want to know why the mayor.
It's fair to everyone who's already spoken before you.
Okay, but I never, Bill, just so you understand, I've just paused my time for a couple seconds. The thing is, I've asked for questions about why not we put the podium back up instead of them sit there like Buddhists. Why can't they sit there and be professional and answer, just stand up and say, look, man, this is what I'm doing with my emails or what you're doing. But I think it's very unprofessional that they sit there and don't stand up. And another thing I want to answer is, I asked you about the pensions. How do you count the part-time service for the full-time pension? I'd like those answers. I mean, I haven't been here how long now, and I still didn't get nothing from it, so I'm just asking for my answers.
Well, you have 25.
Oh, no, Bill, I can have a few other things.
Well, you got 5 minutes, go ahead.
Right now it starts,
Start over.
so how much time do I have?
4 minutes.
All right, so I don't get the extra minute, right? First of all, I'm gonna call for your resignation, Bill. Mr. Brown, your resignation. I'm gonna ask you, Mrs. Lavelle, to resign. Mr. Merritt, the mayor, Marie, and I think the chief of police, Lieutenant Hughes, Attorney Vinsco should all resign. Because I don't blame Leo DeBlasic as much as I blame this administration and this council for letting this go on. When I ended up helping Walter Griffith with the petition drive, I was called into the captain's office and said I was in violation of my contract, and I handed him the letter back and said, give me a copy of the complaints. I was never given a trial. I was never given a hearing. I was given nothing. I was fired publicly. I got nothing. Nothing. And then when the contract came out, I asked Chief, so I called Barbara Smith and asked her, would you ask the chief to call me? I need to know how much I could charge. He never called me back. And about a week later, it ends up her husband gets a job there and works there running the place for 6.5 years. Then we end up with the captain in business selling the cars on consignment. Then we have the mayor acting as Leo DeBlasic's agent on a property deal. Then we end up with the Old River Road fiasco. But nobody ever gave me a hearing. Nobody ever gave me a trial. They just threw me right out. Matter of fact, tell you how fair it was. Tell you how fair it was. Ron Trimble, I never agreed to have him as a neutral arbitrator. He was so fair that he was taking complaints on the golf course. Now, I don't know if Rodney Dangerfield and Bill Murray were there, and Ola Golfer. I don't know if they were there. It was neat. One of the complaints they had, I mean, you're not going to believe one of the complaints were Dale Rinker. I think it has something to do with Legion Security. He was working in Hawkeye. I think it has something to do with the Hawkeye thing. What a small world. But I didn't do nothing wrong. When I got fired, I think what we should do is just make Leo the mayor. I think we'd be better off. But I want to just get it on record. Bill, I think that you should quit. Because when I told you what was going on, I told Kat, and also Kathy Kane should quit. I met with you, couldn't have been any nicer, told you what was going on, and what did you do, Bill? You and Kathy Kane and the rest of them, Tony Thomas, what'd you do? You put an ordinance into effect that basically made it so I couldn't work in the city. It was impossible for me to meet the guidelines. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't meet that ordinance. That's how you rewarded me, Bill. Come forward. Yeah, I told you the truth. I've been telling you the truth for 8 years. And nobody listens to me. Because I do yell. And I do get upset. Do you know why I yell and I get upset? Because I'm frustrated. Like half the town. When this contract came out, the mayor said, the rates are not going to go up. Well, then how did we go from $70 to $75 to $20 a day storage to $50, $60 a day storage? Here's a lady here to drop this off today. I don't know if this is in violation. $375 tow, $350 storage. Now here's one that gets me. Now wait to hear this one, ladies and gentlemen, and whole council, $50 cleanup, $75 labor. So in other words, we're going to put how do you charge that for that? And then even to make it better, I guess if I'm reading this right, now we open up the gate.
Mr. Kadluboski, address us, okay?
I'm addressing you.
Fine, First Amendment.
Come on,
Bill,
this way.
I will deal with you in a court of law soon enough.
That's okay.
But here's what I'm trying to say is, now you go down, you open up the gate, it's $75. $75. Open up the gate, it's $75. The rates are not gonna go up. Well, how did we do all this? How did we do all this? And that's how he's rewarded me. You put that ordinance into effect, this thing should have never ever happened. It happened because people like you, making $200,000 a year.
Your time is expired, you're done, thank you.
All right, well,
Motion adjourned?
so are you gonna answer my questions? All right, Bill, is this Russia or what? Hey, I don't know, I'm being nice, but you answer my questions about the pension and stuff.
You came in, we are not addressing any issues.
I know, all right, well, just tell me about putting the podium back, and tell me about the health benefits and all that kind of stuff. Heil Hitler to Bill Barrett. This is Russia.